Hello comedians, today I am going to give you the importance of getting to 100 gigs, and I am going to talk to you like it's a trial run. And at 100 gigs it unlocks a special feature where you have more superpowers to continue as a stand-up comedian. All will become a lot clearer as we get into it. It's a list of top 5 unlockable achievements you get when you reach 100 gigs. Let's get it started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Comedy. My name is Gary Michaels and this channel is dedicated to new comedians. Each week I upload stand-up comedy tutorial videos. So if you're starting out in your performing career, then I urge you to hit that subscribe button and join the community we have here on Let's Talk Comedy. On today's video, I am going to give you the importance of getting to 100 gigs. Obviously, at the beginning of your career, it's all about the open mic level, and so in this video I will be talking about getting to 100 open mic level gigs. And you should consider it like this: at the beginning of nearly anything you do, you have a trial period where it's a subscription to a service where you're going to watch movies on an app, or if it's something you want to do in a course online, there's nearly always a trial period for free where you can have a limited version of whatever it is you are interested in. And if you like it after the trial runs out, you can pay for it and get the unlimited version and continue on down that road. You should consider stand-up comedy to be the exact same as that. The trial period is your entrance into the open mic comedy game, and you have up to 100 gigs to figure out who you are on stage, get in with the community, and find out overall if the comedy game is for you. And then if the answer to that question is yes, well, after 100 gigs you are going to have progressed enough as a writer and a performer to be able to answer some more questions about yourself. So on this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons as to why 100 performances on stage as a comic should be your goal. And making money at a paid gig is not the most important. So stick around to the end of the video and find out why. Number 5 is the most important, and if you agree with me, great. If not, there are going to be lots of points I'm giving you, and most of them are going to have a lot of value which you can take with you and use to focus on gig number 100. Let's get into more detail. Number 1 is this: when you get to gig number 100, you will be able to listen and understand what other comics are telling you about your performance. It's common knowledge that at a lower level gig, and even at the higher level gigs, we always have comedians telling us what we should be doing better, telling us what's bad about our set and how we can improve. And a lot of the time what they have to say isn't really worth much, because they are telling us what we should do from their point of view, and you might have a very different goal ahead than they had. You might be a very different style of performer. But importantly, at the beginning, when you're only starting out on gig 3 to 5 to 10, and you have all of the people telling you what you should be doing, you do not have the experience yet to really fully understand what they're telling you. You don't have the experience to know one great idea from one bad idea. So my advice to you would be not to listen to many people who are telling you any information before you get to gig 100. If you must listen and something must change, I would say do 50 gigs before you listen. But really, if you are going down a road and you have your goals set and you know how you're developing on stage, then there's no reason to listen to anyone unless you get to gig number 100. That goes for me. As always, if you're liking the content on this video, I urge you to smash that like button. It really lets me know you're enjoying it. It lets YouTube know you're enjoying it. It shows the video to more people. Smash that like button right now. Let's get back to the video. Reason number 2 is at 100 gigs, you will be able to determine if a set is working for you or against you in real time while you are performing it. At the beginning of your career, you're going to get up on stage and perform, and it might not go the way you want, and you do not yet have the experience to completely change the direction of your performance in order to win over the audience if that's what's needed. If the set is going in your favor, you don't have the experience to take it to the next level, and all that is perfectly fine. You're only learning how to do those things. But by gig 100, you do have the beginning basis of understanding how the audience are perceiving your comedy on stage. Are they open to it? And if they're not open to it, what section of the room needs work? And what section of the room needs work in order to bring everyone over and get them all acting the same, which is what we're trying to do at all times. That is a secret ingredient of a good performance, when you can get the audience feeling the same as each other. And how a comic does that is through what you say on stage, how you make the audience laugh, how you conduct them with your laughter in order to get them all feeling the same. And it's only at 100 gigs is when you're going to really start to fully understand how you can go about bringing everyone onto the same page. And of course, every comedian has a different way of going about that. When you get to gig 100, you will unlock the special feature of being able to read a room at a glance and in real time, while you're performing stand-up comedy, be able to understand that this room needs a little work, or understand I've got the ball in my hand, I'm going to raise the energy of this room. Granted, it will be at the beginning level of this, but it will be a huge confidence boost to you to understand that you have now gained that power through turning up again and again and redeveloping your jokes in order to think what works in front of each audience every single time, a different task. That is tip number 2. Unlockable achievement number 3 at 100 gigs is this. You will be a name on the open mic circuit. You will have a community that you belong to. You will have a close group of friends who are also comics who you can have writing sessions with. You can turn up to gigs with, and you can motivate each other in a competitive way, which is fantastic, because at the beginning, when you just turned up, you didn't have any of those connections. You just had your own brave instincts to get up there and go on stage, and you didn't even know what you were doing. And now at 100 gigs in, you have a group of people who you trust are going to tell you honestly about how you're coming across on stage, and you all understand that you're looking out for each other and you have each other's best interests at heart, and you're going to progress up the scene together. This is a huge moment, and this is going to help you get to the next level so much quicker than if you're just on your own. So obviously, when you're turning up at the beginning, you are getting to know people, and when you connect with someone, well, you've got a great connection, and they are comedians too. So all of a sudden you have this big connection full of comedians where you can bounce ideas off for future shows, and else just create a little tour together, go around, perform together. All of those good things. It's unlimited as to what you can do when you're a member of a community that has your interests at heart. And I've already made an entire episode on just belonging to a community and the power it can have, because the community needs your input, because you have something to say. By getting up on stage, you are telling the world you have something to say, and all you have to do is figure out how to say it. And how we go about that in comedy is we make them laugh. If we make them laugh consistently, they will open up to the message we have behind the comedy. And at 100 gigs, you have a network of people that are going to allow and motivate you to make that happen. Unlockable achievement number 4 is this. At 100 gigs, you do then have the right to apply for paid gigs. That is correct. The big deal. Applying for paid gigs. I think at around 100 gigs, that is a perfect time to start applying for those paid gigs. Or else you can start applying to do open free spots at paid events, because a lot of the time comedy gigs do have the slightly shorter set for a newcomer to give it a go at their club before they offer them a paid opportunity. And if you perform well at that, maybe maybe 2 or 3 times, then you may be offered a paid gig in the future. But of course, it's only the first step. You have to consider the first time you are approaching a paid opportunity. It's the first step you're on, because bookers do not view the open mic scene as anything more than it is. It's a place for you to develop. It's a place for you to learn how to become a comedian, not a place for you to become an excellent comedian. And you are going to still have to start at the lower level gigs. Not much money involved, and they're not very reputable clubs. They're smaller clubs. You do not want to apply for your dream position at the top club in your area right as your first paid gig, because they're not going to have heard about you, because news doesn't travel much in the open mic scene, and you're just going to leave them with a bad taste in their mouth. Instead, you want to still show yourself to be a worker, start at a lower level, and take all the smaller gigs you can possibly get, and let the word about how good your performance is travel up top, because at that level, good news does travel. People hear about good performers all the time, and let your story travel up top, so that by the time you get higher up, and when you start emailing more people, more bookers for more gigs, they've already heard of the good work you're doing, rather than getting to 100 open mic gigs and reaching for the very top and no one's heard of you yet. You're just leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and they do remember that also. And here is unlockable achievement number 5. This is what I think is the most important thing about getting to 100 gigs. At 100 gigs, you must look back at the character you've become on stage, and even the person you've become off stage. There once was a time when you hadn't performed comedy at all, and you probably left it way longer than you would have liked, simply because you were way too afraid to get up on stage and express yourself in a way that was supposed to gain laughs from a whole room full of strangers. That's a terrifying thing to do, and you did it quite a while ago. You've now done it 100 times. Further on that, your writing has improved so much, because after each gig you redeveloped your jokes, and you thought about why things didn't work, and you thought about why things did work. You did more of what did work, and what didn't work you just left it behind. And you're beginning to really understand, when you write a joke out for the first time, you can imagine it not working if you think it's a bit weak, and you can imagine, more importantly, why it will work. It's not just no longer because you think it's funny. There's so much more reason now behind why you think something's going to work on stage. And when it doesn't, you have all the ability to just change it and make it work. You have become 10 times, or maybe even more than that, the performer you ever could imagine before you ever did stand-up comedy for the first time. More on that. As mentioned, you're now a comedian among other people. You were on the scene for quite a while. You have proved yourself over and over again. You have venues now that you like to perform in over venues you don't like to perform in. And you have all the reasons why. Perhaps you don't like the MC at one gig. Perhaps you know the style of people who attend one gig, and you know how to win that style over. And so you seek out those sort of gigs. And you can bring the best of you to other gigs where you have a harder time, and you can do pretty well, and you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses. All of those things you've learned with just getting to 100 gigs. And depending on how much you want to perform, 100 gigs might only take you 2 or 3 months, or it might take you 4 to 6 months. It's all up to you with how much work you think you can put in. But 100 gigs is always 100 gigs. You always gain the same amount of experience. It doesn't matter if it takes you a very quick amount of time. It doesn't matter if you're at it for a long period of time or to get there. As long as the goal is always to entertain, as long as you are reworking your material to make it stronger each and every time you get the ability to do so, you are always progressing as a writer and a performer. There is a superpower within stand-up comedy, and getting to 100 unlocks a lot of levels, maybe more than will ever be unlocked to you at any other level of your career, because it's the first step is what matters most. And when we take that, you understand and get into and experience the thrill and joy of writing, creating and performing stand-up comedy. So get writing again. If you haven't got to 100 gigs, get to 100 gigs, be passionate, look forward to it, get excited about it. I hope this video has motivated you to do so. And in the meantime, before you get on stage for the next time, go right now and write 10 more jokes. See you on the next one.